everybody. It's me, Jose Segura, your SMEA president. Welcome to another episode of Fireside Chat with the President. All right. This is our last episode for the month of May of the year 2021. So let's get started. All right. Let's start with impasse mediation negotiations update. As you all know, we had the impasse negotiations on Wednesday. We started at 8:30 in the morning. We went all the way till 6:30. So 10-hour session with the district. I got to tell you, the mediator that was assigned to us from the state, he did an awesome job. We really were impressed with him. We really felt like he was there for all the right reasons and doing the good work that needed to be done. Unfortunately, we ended the day with no agreements. In other words, the outstanding articles that took us to impasse are still outstanding articles. Nothing has been resolved. But there is hope that a resolution is somewhere in the near future. One of the things I really liked about our mediator, that he was very clear with us, that if we were just there to waste his time, if there was no hope of an agreement, if it didn't look like both parties were working towards some kind of a mutual settlement, then he would just release us for fact-finding and not waste his time or our time with mediation. Well, fortunately, he didn't see that. What he saw was both sides hopefully working towards something. We spent a lot of time on Wednesday really kind of telling our story, backfilling information, for the mediator. I'm sure the district did the same thing. Just so you know, we're not in the same room, virtually same room at the same time. We start off together. The mediator introduces himself. He talks a little bit about what his ground rules are, and then he puts us into separate rooms. And this happens whether it's virtual or in person. And then the mediator mediates back and forth between the two parties, taking what he thinks is usable from each side in order to try and bring the other side closer to a settlement. And so we have scheduled our next mediated negotiation. It's going to be on June 9th. Yes, that June 9th, the last school day of the year. Your bargaining team will be at the table starting at 8:30 in the morning on that last day of the school year. Now, let me give you a little bit of information on what potentially could happen. I'm still optimistic that there could be a settlement, that there's a settlement in there somewhere that we could all reach. If that happens, the very next day, on June 10th, we will have a town hall where we will go through each of the articles that are outstanding and explain what agreement we came to with the district. Now, remember, this would be a tentative agreement, so this would be something that already occurred. In other words, not up for debate. This is about sharing information, answering questions, and making sure everybody understands what has happened. That will be in addition to the already 10 or 11 TAs that we already have that are available to you right now to take a look at smea.com, as well as other agreements. Sorry, those 10 plus the 2 salary schedules, one for summer school and expanded learning, the other one for our teacher tutor. So all that is there and available now. All we would be doing is adding to that with these last 4 articles that are really the sticking points. Article 3, which is the association rights, which includes president's release. Article 5, which is your workday, work year. Article 13, which is class size, which includes our proposal of increasing the number of nurses. And of course, Article 15, which is salary. And so if we can come to a conclusion, to a settlement on the 9th, we will have a town hall on the 10th. That town hall will be recorded and we will post it so that if you couldn't make it to the town hall, you can still access it and take a look at it. Your bargaining team, your association leadership will be accessible after that town hall, and then for the next several days to answer questions, answer your emails, respond to your text message. But we are hoping to then put in place a ratification voting process. Because ratification is going to occur virtually, all the votes will happen virtually. We don't need to be in one place to vote. You don't have to come anywhere to vote. Ratification vote can occur virtually. And so this is the optimistic outcome that I'm hoping for, is that we meet on the 9th, we do conclude settlement on the outstanding articles. We make sure that we get all that packaged and ready to deliver to you on the 10th so that we can inform you exactly what the settlement is and what it means for everyone. In a town hall format, invite everybody to come out, and then starting just beyond that, maybe that night or the next day, open up a window of time over several days where folks can put in their vote to ratify. But also give you several days to go back and look at the town hall. Also give you several days to go to smea.com and look at all the TAs, including any new TAs that would be created for Articles 3, 5, 13, and 15. And so trying to get as much information to you as we can ahead of time so that when it does come time to settle on these final few articles, that everybody will be ready to move forward. And all we really are doing is explain the last few articles and the outcomes of that to everyone, and then moving towards the ratification vote. That's best case scenario, all right? Worst case scenario is there is no resolution on the 9th, and then the mediator will determine whether or not another mediation session would prove fruitful or not. And that's really up to the mediator, not really up to either party, except in our conduct and how we are working hard to progress towards settlement. Okay, so that's the impasse update. June 9th is our next session. Your team's going to be there on the last day of school, working hard for you, working hard for all of our members to try and move towards settlement so that we can get this contract ratified and into play and get this behind us and move forward. All right. Second thing I want to talk about the minimum days at the end of the year. And this has been coming up a lot, so we brought it to LMC last week. And at LMC, we had a discussion with the district about minimum days. There was concerns in two different camps. There's the junior high minimum days, which are the last 4 student days of the year. And then there's 2 elementary minimum days. One's a report card work day on the Thursday before the last student day of the year. And of course, the last student day of the year is a minimum day as well. Well, as you all know, it's difficult to schedule minimum days now because students are on campus a little bit longer than they normally are. Their lunchtime is not included in their instructional day like they have been in traditional minimum days. And your lunchtime is not included during the student's instructional day like it has been on traditional minimum days. We asked the district about this. We talked to them about not wanting to violate contract, about wanting to uphold our members' right to access to these minimum days. As far as junior high is concerned, those 4 minimum days will remain intact. Students will be released on the schedule that you normally would have on a minimum day. And so your time for those 4 days, as far as we know, is still intact. Elementary, it's a little bit different. District is telling us because of busing, they can't pull kids off campuses a half an hour or 30 minutes or 40 minutes earlier than they are right now. That kids would have to be on and be excused to the point in which they're being excused now. And so what we asked about is, okay, once students are excused, teachers have their 40-minute lunch. After that 40-minute lunch is over, then the minimum day begins for our teachers. So there's no afternoon sessions to prep for. There's no Zooms in the afternoon. There's nothing in the afternoon after lunch. That time is yours to prep. And then we also asked the district to consider the fact that, well, but that's not an equivalent amount of time. So as an example, and this is in the information in the email that this video was attached, if you want to read through it, if you are traditionally an elementary 7:30 start time, students' start time is 8 o'clock in the morning. On a 7:30 a.m. report time, your minimum day is 12:25. At 12:25, students go home after they've had lunch, after staff has already had lunch. And at 12:25, your minimum day essentially begins. So between 12:25 and 2:40, the typical end of contract time, that's 2 hours and 15 minutes of prep time that you get for report card prep on that Thursday before, and then also time to prepare things like student cumes and student records and prepare your class for summer on that last student day of the year. 2 hours and 15 minutes. So how do we reclaim that 2 hours and 15 minutes? Well, right now, a lot of us are reporting at 8 o'clock. Student start time at 8:30. Students are going home at 1 o'clock. That does not include lunch for them or for you. So your lunch goes from 1 to 1:40. So at 1:40 is really when your minimum day prep time would begin. So from 1:40 to 3:10, right? How much time does that give us? That gives us 1:40 to 2:40. That's an hour plus 3:10. So that's an hour and a half. That's an hour and 30 minutes. Definitely less than 2 hours and 15 minutes. So we're looking at 45 minutes. How do we reclaim that 45 minutes? I'm going to tell you right now, up front, we've talked about it, and there really just isn't a good way to get that entire 45 minutes back. But there is a way to get some of it back if you so choose. The district has agreed to allow you all on the last student day of the year to come to work. On the minimum day for report cards and the last student day of the year for you to report to work as close to student start time as is possible and comfortable for you. So for example, my report time is 8 a.m. Contact time starts at 8:30. I'll leave my tech all up and running, and I'll have all my lessons and everything ready to go from the night before. So I can show up, let's say at 8:25. I can report at 8:25 instead of 8 o'clock in the morning. So that 25 minutes that I'm not on campus working, I'm going to add that to the end of my day as prep time. So I can recover 25 minutes of prep time by not putting in 25 minutes at the front end of my day. Now, I know that's not exactly an apples for apples concession. I totally understand that. I'm not pretending like it is. But you can't be pulled for meetings. You can't be asked to do anything because you just won't be there first thing in the morning. And so as of right now, if you show up at your regular 8 o'clock start time, elementary folks, for most of us, those of you, some of you are earlier, so you have to adjust what I'm saying based on where you are, then by 3:10, you would have only had an hour and a half of your 2 hours and 15 minutes. If you take some of that morning time and put it from the front end to the back end, then you'll reclaim about 25 minutes or so of additional time that you can use to prepare. So that takes your 1 hour and 30 minutes up to an hour and 55 minutes, which is still 20 minutes short of where you should be. Like I said, there is no good answer here. We definitely had to make the best out of the particular circumstances that we are working under. So I really want you to understand that it wasn't that we don't get it. It wasn't that we thought this was a good deal. We just couldn't figure out a better deal for you all. And so those are the minimum days for elementary. Again, go back to the email that this video was attached to. You'll see the same thing I just described, but in writing if you want to read through it. Okay, next thing, number 3, next school year. A lot of questions about what's going to happen next school year. What are the safety precautions going to be? Are we going to have full-size classes? Will we have classes 5 days a week? Will we continue with the Mondays with no students? Will kids be able to be TDL, distance learning kids? What's that going to look like? Who's going to teach that? Oh, a lot of questions. And so go back to the email that this video was attached to. I tried to answer some of these questions with the information that we have now. But it's important to note that we don't have a lot of the information right now. We do know that the legislation that allowed distance learning to occur for this year expires at the end of June. And so that language that allowed for the financial, for the length of the school day, and all the kind of the box that was built that distance learning lived in, all that expires in June. As of right now, today, the day you're watching this video, there is no replacement legislation to extend or continue distance learning, right? There's no movement to take the existing legislation and extend it further, and there's no move to create new distance learning language that would somehow apply differently come next school year. We also know for a fact that our governor has really proposed all kids back to school, full days, all days, and then any families who want to continue with distance learning would have to do it in an independent study environment. Just so you know, independent study actually exists in Ed Code, right? So there is a definition, there are requirements for what an independent study program looks like. It is possible that some legislators may create language that modifies the independent study language to also include total distance learning. But that hasn't actually been done yet. So let's just talk about the facts, right? Okay, so that's what we know about distance learning for the fall. We don't really know. As far as safety precautions are really going to be based on what occurs over the summer. We know that a good chunk of the folks in Santa Barbara County, over 60% of the folks who are eligible to be vaccinated have had at least one shot. And that includes everybody 12 years or over, right? And we also know that a little over 50% of everyone who is eligible to be vaccinated is fully vaccinated at this point. And so our numbers are moving up. Our numbers are doing well within the county. We can expect that those numbers will continue to increase as we move through the summer for everyone between 12 years all the way up to however the oldest person is in the county, for that percentage of fully vaccinated to just keep going up and going up, which is great news for everybody. There's also trials right now going on to approve vaccinations for children less than 12 years. There is a very reasonable expectation that if the trials go well, that could be approved by the FDA for emergency use as early as September of this year, right after the school year starts. And so, that's going to impact what health and safety precautions are going to be required in the classroom come the fall, all right? But there is an expectation, there is a movement, full-size classes, regular-size classes, full-day instruction. But what are the health and safety precautions that are going to be put in place? That's a good question. And so we'll know more as we kind of move through the summer, as we move towards the fall. Most districts are expecting to have some kind of full-time instruction. So what's our district doing? Well, our district, and you can go to the joint communique that was sent out, I think last night or this morning by me, has a little blurb in there because we asked the district about having a voice at the table when it comes to evaluating potential instructional delivery models for the fall. And so we actually have 3 of our folks as part of a subgroup. We have Jose Rodriguez, Kristen Lohr, and Jonathan B.A., and they're going to be meeting with the district's team of 3 to kind of hash through some of these potential models, what they look like, what they might mean for students and staff, what they might mean for negotiations, and then really using that information to help the district kind of craft what their next moves are going to be. Really what we want is that whatever is decided that it takes student and staff safety into account, that it prioritizes that, and that anything that needs to be negotiated can be negotiated. We don't want to have to come afterwards and demand to bargain something after the district has decided. We want to be part of that process that says, oh yeah, that's a great idea, but, and then being able to explain, what needs to be negotiated. And even the district coming to us and saying, hey, we'd love to do this A, B, and C, but we know that there's elements of that need to be negotiated. So let's make time at the table to make that happen. And so we really, really, really want this to be a collaborative effort so that when we come back in the fall, that we're all on the same page, we're all on board with the same program, and we're all moving forward together. All right. And so that is next school year. It's as much as I know now, so I'm telling you what I know. Again, go back to the email this video was attached to. There's a nice summary of what I just said to you verbally there in writing, so you can take a look at that. Last but not least, PD for me. Hey, we're going to do movie night again one more time, our movie club again one more time. So movie club is going to happen next Tuesday. That is June the 1st. So go back to the email that this video is attached to. You'll see a link to the movie club sign up form. Go ahead and sign up there. I believe the movie is a 3:45 p.m. movie, and it's going to be Cruella, the origin story of Cruella de Vil. So kind of cool, right? Starring Emma Stone. You want a piece of that? Send me a page for the tickets. Come on down. If you feel safe in doing so, if you feel like getting back into the movie theater, come and join us. We had a really great group this past Tuesday. We're hoping for another good group next Tuesday. No exercise class on Monday because it's a holiday, but it will occur on Friday of next week, and then we have yoga class midweek. The next hiking group is going to be on the 8th. So the last week of school, that Tuesday, that last student day, probably a great day for a hike out in the Pismo Preserve. And so hopefully you can join us for that. All right, folks, that's all I got for you. Have a great weekend. You know how to get a hold of me if you need me, and enjoy your 3-day weekend. You've earned it. You deserve it. And then let's get ready for that last push into the very end of this school year. All right, everybody. We'll see you soon.